This is the Financial Beat, helping you hit all the right notes in your financial plan. So sit back as we strike up the band. The Financial Beat with Logan Sadler starts now.
Welcome to another exciting edition of the Financial Beat. I say exciting because I'm excited. I'm always excited to do the show. Logan Sadler is too. Hey, Logan, how's it going?
I'm doing great, Ron. Like you said, looking forward to a great show. I know we got some somewhat interesting things to talk about, and also hopefully some good laughs along the way.
We're going to talk about getting you to and through retirement, as always. Logan Sadler is the VP and Chief Investment Officer at Brigari Financial. And if you are a longtime listener to the show, thank you for joining us again, as always. And if you're new to the show, stick around. You're going to learn a lot about getting ready for retirement and how you can take advantage of certain tactics or tools to take care of your money. And it's a very educational opportunity here. 888-823-PLAN. 888-823-PLAN is your number to call if you'd like to have a discovery meeting with Logan Sadler. You can have a conversation with him either via Zoom, or maybe you might want to come into one of the offices either in Hemet or Redlands, or maybe you just might want to have a phone call. At any rate, call this number, 888-823-PLAN, and you can set it up. Now, if you're calling during the show, you'll need to leave a message with your name and phone number, but you'll get a call back first part of the week, and you can make it happen. Hey, you know, there are people out there who make costly mistakes when it comes to their money, and let's talk about some easy ways you can ruin your retirement. These are things you don't want to do. Everybody likes things to be easy, so we made this handy list of easy ways to ruin your retirement if you happen to be into that kind of thing. So,
Whatever tickles your fancy, right?
Exactly. Different strokes for different folks.
Exactly.
Treat retirement as the destination rather than the beginning of another part of your life. That's one way to really screw it up.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it. I mean, if you're still working, it's easy to think of retirement as the end goal, right? I mean, we all, from the moment we start working, I mean, I think a lot of us start thinking about maybe not saving right away or anything like that, but we start thinking about when this is going to end, right? So a lot of people think of retirement as that end goal, but it's funny because a lot of the times that's not the end goal, right? A lot of the times the end goal is to, or so I should say, one of the goals is to retire, but that's not the end, right? The whole goal is to enjoy that long-lasting retirement. As we talk about a lot on the show, Ron, is the retirement phase could be a lot longer than a lot of people even intend for, right? So I think a lot of the times the retirement is not the finish line. It's really the start of a whole new phase, right? We call it, charting your new course on this new journey. And I think it's really important to enact a plan that's going to make sure your assets last instead of simply just trying to reach a certain number in your portfolio or assuming you could, just cut costs throughout the rest of your life. I hear a lot of people go, well, I'll just cut costs in retirement. Well, the problem is a lot of people don't want to cut costs in retirement, right? A lot of the times we envision a retirement of traveling, spending time with family, golfing, hobbies, right? Things like that. And a lot of those things I mentioned cost money. So it's important. You want to make sure you're setting yourself up for a good retirement plan, and not just a plan to retire, but to have that successful transition into retirement to live that ideal retirement you always dreamed of.
And if you're looking for easy ways to ruin your retirement, we are here at your service, because I have another idea here. You can believe that retirement is going to solve all your problems. A lot of people do that, and that's not the case at all.
Yeah, it's funny. I was actually talking to a radio listener, and I'm so bad at this. I think it was a couple days ago, 3 days ago or so. Yeah. And I'm human, right? So, no, I was talking to this guy the other day, and a great family, and it was funny because like he was saying he retired at a very young age, and then all of a sudden, I think he said he was retired for about 6 months, and he went, okay, well, what's next, right? A lot of people retire thinking that's just going to solve all your problems, right? Maybe you have a lot of work-related stress or things like that, and you're looking for a different way just to kind of get out there, retire, and everything's going to be just fine. Well, the problem is a lot of people, they work very hard, and a lot of us have a lot of these things we look forward to at our job that we don't even think about, and all of a sudden you're retired. Well, now all of a sudden it's, well, what do I do every day, right? So retiring to something and understanding that retirement is a transition. It might sound good to say every day is a Saturday, but the problem is a lot of people end up getting bored or falling into bad habits like watching a little too much TV or not using your body and things like that. So it's important to understand what you're going to retire to and understand that retiring doesn't always just fix everything. You got to kind of have a plan of how you envision that retirement.
If you really want to ruin your retirement, you've certainly come to the right place today. We're kind of joking here, but there are ways that you can really mess things up. You can assume that your monthly spending habits in retirement can be easily determined by your spending habits while you're working. And in reality, they may not be the same at all.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, it's funny because, a lot of people out there, or most people I would say, think you'll need somewhere between 70 to maybe 90% of their current salary in retirement, right?
Yeah.
But when you really need to evaluate that, what is your retirement expenses will realistically look like? You might find out that you can eliminate a lot of the expenses that are just maybe wasteful, or maybe you're not doing anymore, like 401k contributions, things like that. Or you might find out your planned retirement activities dictate that you'll need probably more income in retirement to be able to enjoy those things and live that long-lasting retirement. And I think that's something where a lot of people tend to be shocked, right, about how retirement works. A lot of them will think about, taxes will be lower. I'm not going to be paying into this. I'm not going to be doing that. But also, you probably aren't factoring in you might be eating out more. You might be traveling more. You might be spending more time with the family and, getting involved in kids' sports or grandkids' sports or whatever it is, right? So there's a lot of extra costs that can sometimes come up in retirement that you're not factoring in. So understanding realistically, I ask this question all the time, Ron, is, how much do you realistically need right now to live your current lifestyle? And a lot of people aren't necessarily sure what that number is, right? A lot of like, hey, what'd you spend last month, right? They'll go, well, I don't know, right? I make $200,000 a year. It's like, well, yeah, but what do you spend per month? What do you need to live off of? And then their face kind of goes blank sometimes, right? So it's important to kind of understand how much you're going to need currently, and then also what do you envision your retirement to look like, which is one of my first questions when meeting with clients is, hey, what do you envision this retirement to look like? And like I was saying, it might be more expensive than what you're thinking. I have a lot of clients that maybe only need 60% of their income in retirement because of the ideal retirement they want. I have some clients that are going to need darn near close to what they're making now, right? So I think it's important to kind of find out where you fall there.
Yeah, and an easy way to determine, how much you're going to need every month is, how much do you save every month? Okay, well, all the rest, that's how much you're going to need.
Yeah, exactly.
Subtract what you save from your monthly income, and there you go. A lot of people have trouble determining that.
Well, it's funny you said that, Ron, because I had a client, I think I've told the story before, but it was funny. They go, just an example, they say, I make $10,000 a month. And I go, okay, that's net. And I said, okay, that's great, good income. And I said, you know what you spend each month? And they go, oh, well, we probably only spend $5,000 a month. I go, oh, perfect. So you're saving $5,000 a month. And they go, oh, no. Yeah, right. So, it's easy to say, but when you look down at the numbers, I think it's important to get an accurate estimate of what is going out each month to give you an idea.
Yeah, that's for sure. Hey, another thing, and you mentioned this earlier, if you really want to ruin your retirement, we all need to stay active to some degree at least. And there are some people who just kind of sit on the couch and, they sleep a lot and just don't really do a whole lot of things to keep busy. And that's a way that you can really screw up your retirement and actually shorten your lifestyle.
You're not kidding, right? I mean, I think a lot of people, they retire to the chair, right? Or they retire to the couch. And I get it. We all probably have worked hard by that point. You put in your hours, but you want to still have some quality of life. And like you said, Ron, I've seen it with family members. I've seen it with clients where if they don't retire with that ideal plan of what they're going to do and have a schedule of something to retire to, volunteering, right? Playing golf, like I said, tennis, pickleball, right? I have a lot of clients where they retire and they spend a lot of time with their grandkids, right? They're very into their sports and things like that. And that keeps you active, right? Which I think, in my opinion, is a great way to do it. But whatever tickles your fancy, like we said earlier. But I think just kind of having that idea of what you're going to do in retirement, because we have some of these clients that do the opposite, and you could see them age typically a little bit more quickly, right? I mean, but what's that old saying, right? A body that stays in motion, right? It's more likely to keep the lube going there on the joints and all that stuff. So I think the big thing too is, Ron, I was laughing the other day. Debbie from our office called one of our clients. He's been with us. Him and his wife been with us for, I think, around 10, 12 years or so. Mm-hmm. Great couple. I always joke that they're like my heroes, right? They're in their mid 80s or early 80s, I should say. And we called him the other day to schedule a review for him to come in, and he had told Debbie, well, he's like, hang on, I only got 6 more holes left, right? He's out there playing golf. I mean, it's like, you know what? I mean, they're just super active, and they're just, I love to see that. And I think that's one of the things is you got to kind of chart out your course of how you're going to envision this next phase and get an action plan together.
You know, Tom Petty once said, one of his songs, never slow down, never grow old.
Yep, exactly. Great song.
And one thing that I said a while ago, I said, you're going to shorten your lifestyle. You're not going to shorten your lifestyle or whatever it was I said. I should say shorten your lifespan. So
yeah,
that
there
makes
you
a
go.
lot more sense. Hey, another way that you can, an easy way to ruin your retirement, we talked about this a lot doing this show, invest like you're 35 years old. Boy, that's a huge mistake.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think a lot of us have heard the stories, right, of or know people where maybe during 2008 when we had that last big market crash, they maybe were invested way too aggressively, and you know what? Maybe they had to work a few more years, right? If your account went down 30 or 40 or maybe 50%, and you had $1 million, and all of a sudden you woke up and it was $600,000. That probably changes how your retirement's going to look, right? And a lot of that can be minimized as far as diversification, understanding your risk tolerance, and knowing where you're at, right? A lot of people out there, I was talking to a client again the other day, had a really great pension. Their pension was over $200,000 a year when you counted up their pensions. Well, guess what, Ron? They probably could take a little bit more risk with their portfolios, right? Because they have a lot of guaranteed income coming in. I have other clients where they have zero guaranteed income coming in, right? Maybe they only have Social Security. The rest of it's whatever they saved. And so maybe they shouldn't be taking as much risk as the other person, right? Of course, just depending on the situation and all that. But investing like you're 35 years old, normally is not the answer. And I always tell people, like I say on the show all the time, a lot of you out there have done well getting to where you're at, right? A lot of you guys have accumulated wealth. People I'm meeting with that are calling in, they got, $200,000, $700,000, $2 million, right? And so I think it's a lot of you guys have done great accumulating the assets, but a lot of the times what got you to retirement doesn't get you through retirement, right? There's more pieces to the puzzle we got to factor in there, and a lot of the times you need a good team to help put those pieces together. And I think that's what Regari Financial is here to offer. And the best part about it is, Ron, we do have a full team here. I always say, we work with a lot of great estate planning attorneys, tax professionals, real estate agents, mortgage lenders, Medicare experts, and we do the financial end to help put that full plan together to make sure that you have the right pieces and the right instruments you're going to need to have that successful retirement. So if you're getting close to retirement, maybe you're 5 years out, maybe you're just retired, or maybe you've been retired for a little while and you're looking for a team to maybe help get you in a better situation than you are now, or maybe help increase your chance of success in retirement, I definitely think it's time you reach out and spend an hour with me. I guarantee you'll probably take some value away from it. And at the end of it, we can decide where we want to go from there.
Would you like a discovery meeting? It's easy. Call 888-823-PLAN. 888-823-PLAN. Call that number today and leave your name and number. You'll get a call back first part of the week from the really great, outstanding folks at Regari Financial, and you can set a time to have your conversation with Logan Sadler. I think you'll enjoy meeting Logan. He's the same guy, genuine guy that you hear on this show every single week. I always enjoy talking to him, and you can certainly sit down and get to know him. He can get to know you, and all of that's not going to cost you anything at all and not going to obligate you to do anything beyond that conversation. 888-823-PLAN. A discovery meeting, that's what we call it. You discover things about him. He discovers things about you. This thing is all about relationships, really, and I think you'll enjoy getting to know Logan. 888-823-PLAN is your number to call to make it happen. We'll have more coming up on today's edition of the Financial Beat. Stay with us. We'll be back right after this.
Are you tired of feeling like taxes are draining your bank account? Do you want to keep more of your hard-earned money in your pocket? Then download Logan Sadler's 2023 Guide to Tax Planning. This guide is your key to tax optimization and is filled with expert advice, the latest tax laws, and strategies for reducing your tax burden. With the help of Regari Financial and Insurance, you can rest assured that you're making the most of your retirement savings. Just text the word ADVICE to the number 21000 and get the guide for free. Just text ADVICE to 21000.
Hi, I'm a cleverly devised personification of Wall Street. I'm one wild roller coaster ride away from wreaking havoc on your investments. And I love to mess with your emotions. If you're not properly diversified, you can bet I'll keep you up all night thinking about me. If you want to keep me off your mind, you really need a trusted advisor who'll look after your best interests. You also need a custom-designed financial plan that'll protect you from market volatility. Otherwise, when I take a plunge, I'll send you scrambling through your filing cabinet, hoping you were well prepared. Don't wait for turmoil to hit.
In Southern California, call Logan Sadler and the Regari Financial Team at 888-823-PLAN. That's 888-823-7526.
Do you ever find yourself skipping through countless songs trying to find the perfect one? Yeah, we've been there too, and know it can be frustrating. Much like skipping through the countless advertisements from other financial advisors, it can seem like there's so much misinformation. But here on the Financial Beat, you can rest assured we're providing you with the best information possible. So don't push skip on this show, because we have some important information coming up.
Welcome back to Financial Beat with Logan Sadler. The beat goes on. 888-823-PLAN, 888-823-7526. Again, that is 888-823-PLAN. That is a very important number. You can call that number and get a conversation with Logan Sadler. We call it a discovery meeting. He discovers things about you and vice versa. You get to know each other, and then you can decide if Logan might be able to help you get to and through retirement. 888-823-PLAN is your number to call to make it happen. Logan works with 3 different generations of client families, and many of those clients have been with his firm for more than 25 years because Regari Financial has been around for a very long time. Logan, let's talk about the classic pre-retiree mistakes in just a moment here, but I want to give you the opportunity to remind folks about all those YouTube videos you have out there. Go to youtube.com and you can find them. Logan, how do you access those, and what kind of things do you talk about on those videos?
Yeah, so it's been quite fun. A lot of you guys have been head over there and checking that out, as well as the radio show. So as we always say, we appreciate all the support. But we have a lot of great videos over there. I mean, how much should you have saved for retirement by age 60, right? What's the best age to retire? The 4 questions you should be asking yourself about retirement. Just to name a few to give you guys an idea of what's over there. So if you're one of those people that likes to watch a video and maybe educate yourself on retirement education, there's some good content for you. And again, just head over to the Financial Beat with Logan Sadler.
All right. Well, hey, listen, let's get to this classic pre-retiree mistakes. Give us some examples of people you've seen make these mistakes and describe the consequences. In other words, what happened to them. How about the folks who have, and you've seen a lot of people do this when you first meet them, they're certainly not your clients, but people who may become clients. How about those who invest at the age of, let's say, 59, the same way that they invested when they were 39? You know, what happened to those folks?
Yeah, you know, it sometimes isn't pretty, right? Depending on what time frame we're talking about. But there's definitely some consequences there, right? I always tell people, if someone who's 59 and probably isn't going to retire till 75, they're probably okay with where they're at. Maybe they got 10 years or so before they're going to pull the plug, right? But let's be honest, most of us at 59 are planning to retire at 62, 65, maybe 68, right? So we're within that 10-year time frame or so of when we're going to retire. And so it's very, very different than how you invest at 39. Because let's say at 39, the next year at 40, the market just absolutely crashes, right?
Yeah.
We could look at history and say, well, I mean, theoretically, over a 10-year time frame, the market has pretty much always come back to where it's, again, not guaranteed, but it has always somewhat came back in history to where I should be where I was at, or maybe even positive by that time. But the problem is, less than 10 years, we've seen some market declines take, 3 years to recover, 5 years to recover, sometimes longer in certain cases, where it's important to understand where you're at and what the effect could be of taking a little bit too much risk at the wrong time, and sometimes not even knowing it, right? That's the most important thing. So taking a look at where you're at and understanding, again, what got you to retirement won't always get you through retirement.
I have said 1,000 times that you help folks get to and through retirement in a tax-efficient way. And there are folks out there who really focus on tax preparation, but they don't worry about any kind of tax planning. And that's necessary, too.
Yeah, it is. I think one of the biggest things we focus a lot on here is things we can control, right? I can't control if tax rates go up. I can't control if the market goes down tomorrow. I don't have any control over that. But what we do have some control over is, hey, what types of certain investments and asset classes and things like that, what type of tax structures do we have now? And what things can we do now to maybe make ourselves more tax efficient this year, next year, or in 20 years, right? I think that's a question a lot of people focus on. A lot of people focus on this year's taxes. A lot of people don't focus on 5 years from now. And so one of the things I always tell people is most of us retiring, we plan on being retired for a while, right? We plan on retiring at 65 and being retired hopefully till we're age 85 plus, right? Yeah. So it's a long journey. And so understanding the impact that taxes might play if tax rates go up, if they stayed the same, and if we didn't do certain things, what would happen? And I was talking with a client literally the other day, Ron, who actually came on board with our firm, literally just over a conversation about taxes. He had a current advisor where he had around $500,000 invested there, all traditional IRAs. He had just took a big dip in income, and I had said, hey, you know what? Thanks for coming in for the discovery meeting. We were going over some things, and I had said, hey, based off your situation, if we let's loop in your tax person here, but essentially I was just running some rough math. If we did some Roth conversions for the next 4 or 5 years at this income level, this could potentially save you maybe tens of thousands of dollars in converting money over to Roth IRAs, right? And he was like, why hasn't my current advisor said this? And come to find out, he hadn't even talked to his advisor in over a year, right? And again, the guy had like $500,000 there, right? So I think understanding the impact and staying very active with the clients and understanding, focusing on not only investments, but the overall plan, looking at the tax side, the investment side, the income planning side, all these other things that are going to matter, and taxes is normally one of them.
Logan, of course, if you're just joining us here on the show today, Logan is the VP, Chief Investment Officer at Regari Financial. And we're talking about all these mistakes that people can make heading into retirement. And, there's a lot of misconceptions out there about health care and how much it costs and what Medicare covers and all of that kind of thing. A lot of folks don't really understand all that. Take the time, come in and talk to Logan Sadler about it. A lot of folks assume that most of their retirement health care needs are going to be covered by Medicare, and that is not necessarily the truth. I mean, Medicare only covers certain things.
Yeah, it's true. I've even heard, I don't need to plan for long-term care. I'm going to have Medicare, right? Yeah. It's like, well, that's not necessarily how that works, right? And if you do qualify for any government programs, it's typically because you have spent all of your assets, right? So I always tell people, well, that doesn't make much sense. So I'll just go broke, and then Medicare or Medicaid is going to cover me, right? Well, it's like, well, that's not the best plan, right? Because then when you pass away, you got no money left, right? So, and you don't normally have the choices you have. So I always say one of, again, the biggest value adds we have is we work with a bunch of different experts that, again, I could tell you all about Medicare, but I believe in using professionals. And so we actually have a great firm we've been working with for a long time that's a partner of ours where basically they could plug in and look at all your different Medicare and choices and things like that and go over it with you top to bottom to make sure you understand exactly what Medicare will look like in your retirement plan, as well as what your healthcare costs, again, what we got to factor in for healthcare costs for long-term care and all the other stuff throughout your retirement. So understanding the ins and outs of all that is as crucial as you could imagine.
Yeah. And another classic retirement mistake that people make is taking on additional risk to make up for lost time. A lot of people try to catch up at the end. They haven't done really well with savings, and then they get to, an age that is close to when they want to retire, and they try to make up for lost time, and that's not necessarily going to work.
Yeah, the way I relate it, Ron, and it's not exactly the same, but it's got some similar roots, right? Let me paint a picture for you guys here. So let's say you're at the casino, right? Let's say it's maybe you got there at 6 or 7 o'clock in the afternoon or at night, and let's say it's now midnight, right? And you're down big, right? And you're at one of those positions where maybe you're down a little more than you have wanted to be. And you say, you know what? I started with, let's say, $1,000. I'm down to $200, right? Not a great day. What I'm going to do to get back to my money, I'll just be more aggressive and double down on that 200, right? Does that work out? Those of you guys that have tried that, you're probably answering or nodding your head no, right? Maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, but more often than not, you end up going home with nothing at that point, right? And I think the same part with a lot of us out there that think, well, I'll just get more and more aggressive to help make more and more money, so hopefully I will have, recoup what I would have needed to save by just making the money. And again, yeah, the markets can do well, things can work out sometimes, but more often than not, if any type of market risk or fluctuation or volatility happened, you could really be hurting yourself more than you were helping yourself. So I think it's important to kind of outweigh the pros and cons and understand what taking on additional risk might mean to your portfolio and looking at that. And I think, like we always say on here, one of the biggest things you want to look at is how to avoid some of these classic pre-retirement mistakes. And I always say having a good financial advisor to help guide you guys through that, and having a good partner to help, again, walk through a lot of these things that are going to be going on. And by things, I mean a lot of these big choices a lot of you guys are going to have to make about how should you be investing at age 59 and a half. Are you invested correctly? Starting Social Security, when is the best time to take that? Tax preparation or tax planning, am I taking advantage of everything I could be from a tax planning perspective, and looking at healthcare needs, risk, all of that. And I think, again, that's what a good financial advisor should be doing for you. So if you're one of those people out there, maybe you have a current advisor and you're just trying to look and get a second opinion to see if you could find someone else that might be able to bring a little bit more value to the table when it comes time to your overall financial plan. Or maybe you've never had an advisor and you're approaching retirement and looking for a way to maybe maximize your situation. Definitely think it's time to give us a call. And again, just see if myself and our firm are a good fit for you.
888-823-PLAN, 888-823-PLAN. That is your number to call if you'd like to have a discovery meeting. Just a casual conversation with Logan Sadler. There's not going to be any salesmanship or any pressure, anything like that involved. No exchange of any money, any of that. 888-823-PLAN. It's a conversation, a getting to know you session with Logan Sadler, the same person you hear on this radio show. And if you have not talked with Logan Sadler, if you have not talked with a financial advisor before, you'll be surprised at how easy it is and how pleasant the whole thing is. And even if you have a financial advisor already, why not get a second opinion from Logan Sadler? 888-823-PLAN is the number to call to make it work. Logan is with Regari Financial, a firm that's been around for a very long time, serving Southern California and folks in other places beyond the immediate area. And of course, Logan himself works with all three generations of some of the client families, and many of those clients have been with the firm for a long time too. And great partnerships with local CPAs, attorneys, real estate people, all those things Logan mentioned just a few moments ago. You can have access to all of that by calling 888-823-PLAN. Maybe a phone call, maybe a Zoom connection, or maybe you might want to come into one of the offices either in Redlands or Hemet. Up to you. Won't cost you anything. I'm Ron Stutz, along with Logan Sadler. You're listening to the Financial Beat. There's more to come.
Did you know music is good for the heart? A study at a university in Italy showed that music helps promote a better cardiovascular system. But we also know that a sound financial plan is good for peace of mind. Keep listening to the Financial Beat so we can help you find a plan that both your head and your heart can agree on.
We are back now with more of the Financial Beat. Ladies and gentlemen, Logan Sadler is on the radio, and Logan not only is on the radio in this show, but he is on YouTube videos, a variety of YouTube videos. And Logan, I know you got a whole bunch of them, and folks can learn a lot just by watching them.
Yeah, thank you. I always enjoy doing the videos as well as the radio show, but I like the videos as well because we get to spend a little bit more time on just one topic and give you some visuals. A lot of you out there, you can head over to YouTube and type in The Financial Beat with Logan Sadler, and there's videos on, Roth conversions. How do those work, and what's the benefit in those for you potentially? How much risk should you take in your retirement? Optimizing Social Security, right? How to solve that fear of running out of money? All of those questions a lot of you guys have out there. You can head over to the YouTube channel, check those out, and like I always say, there's lots of videos over there, so there's bound to be one of them that gives you a little bit of insight on your situation.
And by the way, if you'd like to have a conversation with Logan Sadler one-on-one, either via Zoom or maybe in the office, or maybe you might want to just have a phone conversation with him, the number to call to make that happen is 888-823-PLAN. This is a service Logan provides for everybody listening to this show. 888-823-PLAN. There's no cost and no obligation. Let's talk about predictable income. One of the most important things in retirement is having predictable income streams. You can count on money coming in from various places. What are some of the retirement income sources that people might view as predictable but really aren't completely predictable? Logan, can you tell us some of those?
Yeah, I would say probably the most common examples are rental income, variable annuity income, bond income, and stock dividends, right? I would say that's probably more of the most common ones you hear of. Oh, these are predictable streams of income. And they might be predictable, right? But I always say they're not guaranteed. And so one of the things I always like to look at, and we talk about that a lot, right, Ron? The difference between predictable and guaranteed, there's a difference. And so, for example, and none of these are bad. That's not what we're saying. I think it's just important to understand really what risks are involved and what the difference is. So basically, rental income, right? Rental income, a lot of our clients that come on board, they might have a rental property. Maybe it's a long-term rental, an Airbnb, whatever type of rental property it is. But essentially, you get income from the property, right?
Yeah.
Well, the problem is I always ask them, what happens if the property goes unrented, right? I've had some clients where maybe it was unrented for 3 months or 5 months or 6 months, depending on what was going on. And a lot of times it was vacant, so they're not getting any rental income. So I would definitely not categorize it as guaranteed. Is it predictable? Yeah, it's somewhat predictable. And a lot of you out there have done very, very well with rental real estate. But it's something to understand. A lot of you guys out there don't typically envision retirement being a landlord, right? Some of you guys might, and some of you might not.
Yeah.
But just understanding rental income is not always guaranteed. Variable annuities. I've heard a lot of people out there talk about annuities, and a lot of people don't understand annuities, and that's because they can be very confusing, and there could be very, very many different types of annuities out there.
And variable annuities are definitely not guaranteed.
Exactly, Ron. Like I always tell people, I'll draw a variable, right, and I'll just put a V, and I go, what does that make you think of? Well, it goes up and down, right? So variable annuities, like you were saying, some of them have some guaranteed or income riders or things like that on there for death benefits and things like that. But more often than not, I've seen a lot of variable annuities that in many ways, when the VAs are reduced the amount of lifetime income they have when the account balance hits zero. So if they're, let's say you got $100,000 in there, let's just say, and maybe they're paying you out. I'm making up hypothetical numbers, okay?
Okay.
Let's say you got $100,000 in there and it's paying you $10,000 a year, let's say. Well, when that money goes to zero, that $10,000 a year might be reduced to $5,000 a year or $4,000 a year or whatever it is, right? So a lot of the times when the money goes to zero, which again, taking out that amount, it probably will go to zero pretty quick.
Yeah.
They could sometimes reduce benefits. So I always tell people if we are going to use annuities, which can be a great way to solve for some income needs, you want to typically use ones that have a guaranteed lifetime income that are not going to ever be reduced, right? And some of them might even go up just depending on the annuity. Bonds and stocks, right? I like bonds. I like stocks. I think all of these can be a good fit in a portfolio. But stock dividends and things like that, as we know, aren't guaranteed, right? Stocks can change their dividend at any time, and a lot of them do based off what the company's doing. And same with bonds, right? Companies or governments could default or bonds could be called. So they're not as predictable. I would say they're somewhat predictable, but they're not by any means guaranteed for income.
Well, is there really such a thing as having guaranteed income in retirement? And maybe the question I should ask is guaranteed by whom?
Yeah. Yeah. Typically it's by like an insurance company, right? I mean, one of the most common, I always tell people the 3 ways I know to get guaranteed income in a portfolio is typically Social Security, right? Which is essentially guaranteed by the government. And then you have pensions, right? So pensions are another way to get guarantees, which are, basically by an insurance company most of the time, or by a company that you used to work for, or a district or a county or whoever it's from. And then the third is typically annuity income. Those are really the only 3 ways that I know to get guaranteed income, where every month a paycheck's coming in, no matter if the market's going up or down, that income comes in, right? You don't have any renters that can move out. You don't have any dividends that could be slashed. And I'm not saying everyone should run out there and buy an annuity. That's not what I'm saying. But I do think that annuities, or especially the fixed index annuities, can be a great way for some of us out there to create a pension, because most of us out there, maybe we're self-employed, or maybe we're funding our 401ks and IRAs and things like that. We've always, don't lie, right? We've always been a little bit jealous of some of our friends that might have had a pension, right? And so what a fixed index annuity can allow you to do in some of them is get a guaranteed income stream to pair with maybe a pension or your Social Security. So there is some ways out there to get some guarantees in your portfolio.
Okay, we're talking about predictable income on today's edition of the Financial Beat. Hey, we appreciate your listening today. Logan Sadler's number, 888-823-PLAN, 888-823-PLAN, if you want to get in touch and have a conversation. Give us an example, Logan, of a time when you saw somebody who did not establish enough predictable income, relied too heavily on the stock market, and things just didn't go well for them.
Yeah, it's funny is there's a lot of clients out there where when we retire, we think, okay, I'm going to put $1 million into the stock market, and I'll diversify it maybe between some stocks and some bonds, and I'm going to draw out maybe 4% per year, and I should be just fine, right? And for some of us, that might be the case. But the problem is a lot of things come up, right? All of a sudden, unexpected expenses come up, and you might have to tap into that $1 million and take money out, as well as we forget that $1 million is going up or down based off the market. And on those negative years, I always tell people when you're taking money from retirement, it becomes very tricky, that distribution phase. So when you begin to start withdrawing income from your retirement, it could throw some kinks in there that you might not have thought about. The thing is, while we're contributing to our money, but the accumulation phase, where we're putting money into the accounts, we call it dollar cost averaging, right? As the market goes up or down, we're buying in low, buying in high. So over a period of time, it pretty much stables out to where you probably could do pretty well over an extended period of time. The problem is when it comes time to taking money, it's basically the reverse of dollar cost averaging, right? So you're taking money out at losses and you're taking money out at gains, but theoretically, those losses are a little bit deeper than they might have been when you were putting money in. And so it could be very risky to take out income. So I've had a lot of clients where they were told, hey, put $1 million in here and pair it with your Social Security, take 4% out, and you'll be just fine. Well, the problem is, if unexpected expenses come up, higher inflation, bad returns over a period of time, sequence of return risk, a lot of these other things can have a lot of impacts. And I've seen many clients dip way into that principle a lot more than they might have wanted to, especially depending on what years you retired based off market conditions and things like that. It can have a very, very real impact on the success of that retirement.
Yeah, you mentioned a really ugly word just a moment ago, and it's something that we all have to deal with, especially right now. Even if you do establish some predictable income streams, the word I'm thinking about is inflation. What do you do when inflation decreases the buying power of that income?
Yeah, that's a very real thing, right? And what's funny, I always tell people the industry's listening, right? So a lot of these insurance companies that we work with, if again, we don't always recommend annuities to people, but if we are going to use an annuity for some guaranteed income, the nice part is a lot of these annuities now can have a inflation protection or potential inflation protection where the income might be guaranteed. Let's say it's guaranteed at let's say you put in $300,000. This is not a quote, just giving an example. Let's say you put in $300,000 and it's going to pay you out $18,000 a year for as long as you live, okay? Some of them have it where if that index annuity performs, sometimes the income can actually increase and never go back down. Right? So every time it has a good return in that index annuity, the income credits can increase to give you what they call increasing income, which can also help establish that fear of inflation, right? Because a lot of us are like, well, okay, the $18,000 a year might be great now, but But in 5 years, is that going to be enough? In 10 years, is that going to be enough? Am I going to have to draw more out of my market money, or where is going to be the next course of action? And so I think some of those inflation-protected annuities, not for everybody, but in some cases can be a great fit to help combat that high inflation that we might have to worry about now or even later in retirement. As we know, inflation always goes in different spikes. So if it goes away now, chances are it'll come back again later. So it's important to understand in your predictable streams of income, we also got to worry about how do we hedge against inflation the best of our abilities.
I know you have a whole lot of folks who depend on you for getting them to and through retirement already. A lot of clients, and I know that you talk to a lot of new people all the time. Logan, what are some of the reactions that you get from clients when you show them how a reliable and predictable retirement income is actually possible? You can really make it happen, but what kind of reactions do you get?
Yeah, it's funny. Normally it's like, well, are you sure? Right. And it was funny because I think where we separate ourselves is we're not the insurance salesman, right? We've all been through this type of phase before where we've been locked in a room and someone said, hey, you got $1 million. Let's put $999,000 in a annuity, right? Or an insurance product or an index universal life or whatever it is. And I don't think that's real financial planning, right? What we typically like to separate ourselves in, Ron, is if we are going to use annuities and things like that, we also work on the market side. I believe markets, I think stocks, bonds, real estate, annuities, all the insurance stuff, I think all of it can have a place in a portfolio just depending on what our goals is. And so when I'm able to sit down with a client or a potential client and show them, hey, here's where we're currently at, right? You have zero guaranteed income coming in, maybe only Social Security. And if we took, you got $1 million, if we took $300,000 of that, or maybe $400,000, depending on how much income we needed, that could generate you, anywhere from $15,000 to $25,000 a year, depending on companies and age and all that stuff, of guaranteed income. So now we know we have a guaranteed income we can't outlast, and that still leaves us maybe $600,000 or $700,000 in the market to now help generate some extra income, inflation protection, liquidity, all the things that some of those guaranteed products can't give you. And so I think it helps kind of give you the best of both worlds, again, just depending on the person, to help supplement some of the income that you're getting from the annuities with market money and the market money with the annuities. I think sometimes it could be a great fit for most people as they get ready to retire. And to answer your question directly, Ron, I think a lot of them are very reassured that, oh, okay, you know what? This isn't just, hey, put all my money here and this is going to be the best thing ever. It's here's the plan, here's how it's going to work. And the nice part is with a lot of the programs and software and the planning that we do with clients, we really want to make sure before we even recommending an annuity, is it in the best interest of the client? Does it make their plan more successful or less successful? And we're able to actually show them, here's the impact if we did it, and here's the impact if we didn't. And I think that's what a lot of people appreciate about us, is taking the time to understand you and your situation and making sure that we're putting the best pieces of the puzzle together to make your plan successful. So if you're one of those people out there and you're wondering how maybe guaranteed income might be able to increase your retirement success, or maybe put you in a better peace of mind situation to give you that peace of mind retirement, definitely think it's time. Again, give us a call and let's talk and see if that's something that might fit well into your plan.
Everybody needs predictable income. And if you'd like to talk more about that, you can get some answers from Logan Sadler. He can help. But first, you have to reach out with a phone call. 888-823-PLAN. 888-823-PLAN. That is a number for Regari Financial. Been around for a long time with 2 convenient offices in Southern California, one in Hemet, one in Redlands. If you'd like to have a conversation with Logan Sadler, all you have to do is reach out with a phone call now. 888-823-PLAN. Leave a message with your name and phone number. You will get a call back, and then you can set a time to have your conversation with Logan, the same guy you hear on this radio show. And this can be via Zoom, or maybe you might want to come into one of the offices. It's totally up to you. It's not going to cost you anything at all and not going to carry with it any kind of obligation. 888-823-PLAN. I'm Ron Stutz. He's Logan Sadler. We'll have more coming up in just a moment. You're listening to The Financial Beat.
At the end of the day, no one truly understands your financial wants and desires better than you. That's why it's important to have financial independence. This means you can work when you want, you know exactly where your income is coming from, and most importantly, your finances are stable. If this sounds like something you want, well, text the word advice to the number 21000, and Logan Sadler and his team at Regari Financial can provide you with their free guide on achieving financial independence. The free guide will show you how to create an action plan for getting to where you want to be. It'll explain how to calculate a financial independence goal, and it'll define what an ICE egg is and why it's so important. Download it now by texting the word advice to the number 21,000. Again, text the word advice to the number 21,000 to gain your financial independence today.
Fishing is an art, and any fisherman worth his salt knows the proper tools to land a whopper. You wouldn't take a cane pole to catch a bass, and unless you're just looking for a tranquil day on the boat, you probably wouldn't use shrimp for bait on the lake. The same can be said of your retirement. There are all sorts of financial products out there, and it's important to know which ones are the right fit for you. A random jumble of investments won't do you much good in retirement. Work with an advisor who knows how to fish, who sees the art within. A well-crafted financial plan will go a long way toward making a successful retirement. Make sure you're putting the right tools in your portfolio.
In Southern California, call Logan Sadler and the Regari Financial Team at 888-823-PLAN. That's 888-823-7526.
What is your name?
I am Arthur, King of the Britons.
What is your quest?
To get retirement ready.
What is the PE ratio on your portfolio's top grossing products?
I don't know that.
Don't get blown to bits by complex jargon. Let Logan help you over the bridge to a meaningful retirement.
Welcome back to more of the Financial Beat. The beat goes on, as they used to say. Logan Sadler is here. He's the VP and Chief Investment Officer at Regari Financial. And Logan, I know a lot of people who may miss the show or may miss part of the show can get a podcast to catch up on all of those things. And you've already got a lot of podcasts that are available to people out there. And I'm surprised at how that number has mounted. It's all mounted up.
Yeah, it has. It's well over 100 now. So, like you said, those of you that catched part of the show and wanted to catch up on maybe the part you missed, or maybe just catch up on some other shows, you can head over to Podcast Land. Maybe that's Apple Music, Amazon, Spotify, wherever it is you listen to podcasts, and you can type in The Financial Beat with Logan Sadler and catch up on some of our other episodes.
We talk about a lot of topics on this show, all related to getting you to and through retirement, and you can get specific topics covered by going to the YouTube videos as well. Go to YouTube and go to The Financial Beat, and they'll all pop up there. A lot of good stuff. A lot of questions have come in, and we have some good questions this week for sure. First one is from Dwayne in Whitewater. I've never been to Whitewater.
Yeah,
sounds
interesting
like a
little place.
Yeah. Dwayne says it seems that all of the experts I hear say that you should work until 70 and then start your Social Security. I'm only 57 now, and I can't imagine working another 13 years. How important is this notion of working until 70?
Yeah, Dwayne sounds pretty depressed there after reading that, right? Which I don't blame you there. No, so, there's a lot of experts out there that say, obviously, what I always say is, obviously, the longer you work, probably the better off your financial situation will be.
Yeah.
That's just kind of obvious, right? More money you made, more money you're contributing, more you're delaying Social Security, more income it's going to be, all of that stuff. Now, with that said, I mean, work until 70, I do have a lot of clients that work till age 70, which is because they, maybe they want to. I have a client I'm working with right now. He's going to be 75. He's going to keep working. He got no plans to retire. He's got enough money. He could have retired, but he enjoys it. I have other clients I'm working with right now that are 55 and they're ready to pull the plug, right? So depending on how you envision your retirement, what type of income you need, and how well you've saved to put yourself in a good situation, that to me really depends on when you can retire and when you want to retire. So don't get too depressed. If you're 57 and maybe you put yourself in a great situation, you might be able to pull the plug at 59, right? Or 60 or 65 or whatever age is going to work out for you. But you really don't know until you get in with a financial advisor or if you're comfortable doing it yourself. But you really want to make sure you're looking at all the ins and outs and seeing if you did pull the plug at this age or that age, what would be the outcome and what would it look like for you?
Got a really interesting question here for you, Logan. You're going to love this one. It's from Kim in Temecula. And Kim says, I've interviewed 7 different financial advisors. All of them have aspects that I like, but not a single one seems perfect to me. Should I keep interviewing more folks, or am I being too picky? And let me just say, before you get started, why don't you call Logan Sadler?
There you go. Make it 8. Make it 8.
Exactly.
No, that's a lot, right? I think interviewing 7 of them is a lot. I've met with some clients that have came on board with us where they're like, yeah, I met with 5 other advisors before I decided to go with you. Right now, I say, well, to me, it's very humbling, and I'm very honored to be number 5 or number 7 or number 8, whatever it is, right? But I think, Kim, to answer your question directly, not every advisor is perfect, right? We all have different things we specialize in and things like that. I would say maybe you got to keep interviewing. Maybe you haven't found the right fit, but you got to also ask yourself, what are you looking for? What type of fee structure do you like? Do you like paying a percentage of your assets? Do you like paying a flat fee? Do you like commission? What are you looking for? Also, what type of phase are you in, and do those advisors specialize in that? Because like I always talk about, I have some friends in the industry where they're really good at younger clients. They're really good at helping them grow their assets or get out of debt or whatever it is. And then I have some other advisors like myself who are better at the retirement planning end. I think that's more of the specialty that our firm deals in, is helping clients, okay, here's the assets we have, here's how we can position them for taxes and tax efficiency, for income, whatever it is. So I think I would kind of look at what advisor are you looking for, and making sure that their firm and their team specializes in the phase of life you're in. And then kind of, again, finding the best fit. I think it's important to find the best fit of who you can relate to, who you can talk to, who you feel comfortable asking questions to, and who you feel is going to have your best interest when you're looking at your plan. So, yeah, maybe keep interviewing or go back through them and see which one. Again, maybe I said some things there that they weren't doing or didn't make sense as far as when you're interviewing them at the time. And, again, it's really important to find that right fit. And like Ron said, give me a call. I'd be happy to kind of walk you through our process and tell you a little bit about what it's like to be a client of our firm and how that looks.
All right, we have one more question today. It's from Max in Diamond Bar. And Max says, my mom just died last month and left me an IRA with about $350,000 in it. What do I need to know about this account, and how should I invest it?
Yeah, well, first off, sorry, Max, apologize for your loss there, condolences. Now the good part is obviously your mom left you behind a good chunk of money for you to inherit here, and there is some rules here. So when you look at the IRA, there's a few different things you're going to want to look at, and I highly recommend giving us a call or calling somebody that you trust that can deal with this, because there is what's called the 10-year rule after the Secure Act. And so basically any IRAs that are left, you have to basically take those out over a 10-year time frame. And it's very, very important you understand that the whole $350,000, if it's all traditional IRA, is all taxable. So we want to look at how to do that over that 10-year period, to where based off your income, we want to manage it to where we're going to try to net the most money as possible by taking out percentages each year to, so to speak, to fill up your tax bracket. So, if you're in the 22% tax bracket, for example, and you're making $100,000, you might have some room to move quite a bit of this, each year. If you make $200,000, you might have less room, right? And you might be potentially paying more taxes on certain years. So to answer that question, long story short, give us a call and we can walk you through the 10-year rule and kind of go over in your situation, understanding a little bit more about you, and to help try to get you to maximize this money, because again, that's a great gift that was left behind. Now we got to make sure we're doing the right things to maximize that as far as taxes, and then like you mentioned, getting it invested and getting that all that squared away for you. So I definitely recommend first step, giving us a call or a qualified financial advisor to help guide you through that.
Yeah, that really is a great gift, and too bad Uncle Sam's going to get a part of it.
Absolutely, he's ready for it. So we want to make sure we only give him his fair share and not too much more.
Well, Logan Sadler can help you make the right decision and what to do with that money. And again, sorry for your loss. Logan, I know a lot of folks out there listening to the show today may be listening for the very first time, and we're certainly glad to have new people. And why is it so important for them to give your office a call now and arrange to have a discovery meeting?
Yeah, absolutely. I always say whether it's your first time listening, and it's funny because a lot of you guys listen for a while, and I've talked to you, and you're like, you know what, I've been listening to the show for a year or so and finally made the call. So I always appreciate anybody listening, and we always appreciate the support. But if you're out there and you're getting close to retirement, like I always say, our specialty is those of you that are transitioning to retirement, or maybe you're 5 years or so away from retirement and you're looking for ways to making sure you have a plan that's going to be able to allow you to retire when you want to, or at least get you in the best situation you can with what you got. I definitely think our firm, we've been around a long time, like Ron always says, and we've helped a lot of people work through what their goals and their fears and concerns are with their retirement plan, because many of you out there are worried about, how do I get a predictable income plan that's going to last in my retirement? How do I help, alleviate the fear of running out of money? What options do I have? Risk. Am I invested too aggressively with the current market? Am I invested perfectly with the current market, right? So definitely think there's a lot of those questions you're going through. And like I always say, is we're an independent financial planning firm that has helped a lot of people throughout the long history all over the place plan and prepare to get to and through retirement. So give us a call. Come in for that discovery meeting, and there's no pressure, no obligation. We'll just kind of sit down and you get asked a lot of questions about us and the firm, and I'm going to ask you a lot of questions about you and your family, and just see if we're a good fit to work together to help transition you into retirement, or if you're currently retired, maybe help make that plan a little bit more efficient.
It's all about your individual needs, your hopes and desires, and everybody's situation is different. Logan Sadler takes all of that into account. If you'd like to get to know him, call 888-823-PLAN. 888-823-PLAN. You can come into the office and have that conversation, or if you prefer, you can do it via Zoom. 888-823-PLAN. It's not going to cost you anything at all, not going to obligate you to do anything beyond that conversation, but you'll get the answers to some of your questions and maybe get answers to questions you didn't even know you needed to ask. 888-823-PLAN is your number to call for a free, no-obligation conversation with Logan Sadler, one-on-one. And, of course, I get the opportunity to talk to him every week on this show. I think you'll enjoy it, too. 888-823-PLAN. Logan Sadler will make sure you leave with a lot more information than you came in with. And so many folks come in for that conversation and say, wow, I wish I'd done it so much earlier. Reach out now, 888-823-PLAN. That wraps up another edition of the Financial Beat. Ron Stud's here. And Logan, it's been fun.
Hey, as always, Ron, I always enjoy Radio Day. As I say, one of my favorite days of the week, if not my favorite. And again, I appreciate all the support out there for everyone listening. And hopefully we gave you some, maybe a laugh here or there, and also some good information. So hopefully you enjoyed the show. And I know me and Ron are looking forward to being back here next week with another one. And again, hope to talk to a lot of you out there here soon.
Join us for the next Financial Beat with Logan Sadler.
Regari Financial and Insurance Services, Inc. and BD Financial Group, Inc. are separate and independent entities. The information provided in this presentation is presented for educational and informational purposes only and does not constitute financial, investment, tax, or legal advice, nor does it constitute an offer or solicitation to buy or sell any securities.